Hello everybody, my name is Starrapter and welcome back to the channel. It's another week for War of the Bounty Hunters, week 14 to be exact, and of course I'm going to be here breaking everything down that happened this week in the two comics we got. The first one we're talking about today, what was also in the checklist first, is the Bounty Hunters issue number 15, The Gathering. So we have really three separate storylines, one involving General Vukorah, one involving Tonga and Losha, as well as one, of course, involving Valance and Dengar. So diving into the General Vukorah storyline first, she, of course, is one of the head honchos of the Unbroken clan there on Corellia, and she's going to one of her safe houses and she thinks it's safe enough, but of course Deathstick, that works for Crimson Dawn, aka Kira's organization, is there waiting for her with an invitation to the auction there at Jakara, and she's waiting because they're part of a criminal syndicate that General Vukorah is. The Unbroken clan is, I guess, worthy enough, ruthless enough to be involved in all these other syndicates that are being there in support of the Crimson Dawn, or at least trying to auction off for Han Solo. So that's that storyline there. As far as Tonga and Lasha's storyline are concerned, they are working for the opposite of the Unbroken clan on Corellia, but in fact, Mourner's Wail. Remember, they're dealing with the one child that is the spawn, or the child of basically the Unbroken clan, the Mourner's Wail, that is said to, this child is said to basically broker peace. But of course, because they're very important, they're also being hunted. So we have Tonga and we have Losha that have been given orders from the patriarch of the Mourner Veil to go and find her. So they have to put together a team because he said they're gonna need help. So we get two really important members to join their team. First, they go to this location called Nar Kanji, and there we find one of the future members of the Kanja Club, in fact, to be Tasu Leech, a young, clean-shaven Tasu Leech, fighting in the fighting pits there. And he's fighting against a Zabrak. He's got a really cool personality. He speaks in a different language called Jablogian, so that's pretty interesting there. But I'm very much looking forward to seeing this guy in action because he has these really unique weapons that are on his wrist, that are these blades that look really cool, and he's got this awesome demeanor to him. But they also travel to a Gand location, a Gand floating sanctuary in the Outer Rim, to actually find Zuckus. And Zuckus we actually see in his ammonia habitat without his mask for the first time. Looks very different, almost like a bird-like creature. And it's interesting that they changed the tables on him. So for once they're in his habitat. And this is kind of a spoiler for 4-LOM and the Zuckus one-shot we're going to be talking about later in this video. But he's saying, hey, look, he separated us from his friend, right? Zuckus and 4-LOM have been partners forever, but there was a falling out. Basically, 4-LOM is now like a different kind of being because her head was severed by Boba Fett, and now some other droid technician guy put him on like a huge cybernetic body, as we'll get into for the next story here, and gone crazy. So Zuckus doesn't mind working for a different cause now, and he joins the team. And finally, the Dengar and Valance storyline has them jet setting from across the galaxy because, of course, they're looking for Boba Fett, they're looking for Han and Carbonite. We really do find out a lot about that Dengar motivation in this issue because he's going after Boba Fett to get the money to free his lover from Jabba the Hutt, who happens to be Manaru. So that is what he's trying to accomplish. We see a lot of his backstory because they end up trying to find transport. So they go to Canto Bight. There they run into Wendelphus, who is the leader of the Sixth Kin, who are actually the organization that Just Lucky and Ariel work for in the Dr. Aphra series, which we see a quick cameo by them. We learn that Dengar is in debt to the Sixth Kin, and he could have been killed on sight if it weren't for Valance, that offers to help out Wendelphus to basically go to this party and crash it. And that is basically how we get the Punishing One to be back in the possession of Dengar. But it's not before Deathstick ambushes these guys there. And that is when Dengar, it looks like he makes a deal with Deathstick off screen or off panel. And that's how he gets the invitation, unbeknownst to Valance, who believes that Dengar just stole it. I don't think it was that easy. It looks like there was a conversation to be had. So now they're going to be also at that part of Jakara. So this issue really just brought us up to speed on all these characters, where they've been and how they're going to actually get to there. So I'm very interested to see Valance. Maybe he'll take on Vader, because Vader's going to be there. A lot of history between those characters, of course, with Boba Fett. Was really fun seeing that Star Tours shuttle there that you would take in the actual park, stuff like that. Really good overall story with definitely a lot of action as well. The other issue I was alluding to is 4-LOM and Zuckus. Issue number 1 is just a one shot for $4.99 here. This one's written by Daniel Jose Older, as you know, is one of the archetypes for the High Republic story. So getting into this one, it's a pretty straightforward story. So we have 4-LOM, we have Zuckus, and this is after the events of the War of the Bounty Hunters, issue number 1, I guess, where we see that Boba Fett is able to vanquish both of his foes when he kicks off Zuckus off the platform on Nar Shaddaa when his ship he was trying to leave, and he severs the head of 4-LOM to bring with him to get the information he needs to find this auction with the Crimson Dawn. So that's where we pick up. We see that 4-LOM's head was basically thrown, off of the platform of Jabba the Hutt's, and some Jawas pick it up and give it to a droid technician. The same technician that basically in the past that you had Zuckus and 4-LOM try to take out, and they take out this target, which, by the way, was given to them by Deva Longpop, who is the character that was from the High Republic era that Jabba had dealings with in Jabba the Hutt issue number 1 one-shot. And that character is supposed to be like the anchor between these 4 one-shots. We're also going to get one about Boushh as well as IG-88. So they get this mission to go basically kill this thing, this droid technician, and that is like the backstory throughout this issue that's spread out. The current story really is all about Zuckus dealing with 4-LOM having his head attached to a cybernetic body, a big body that basically 4-LOM just wants to kill Zuckus for no reason. We don't really know why, but all of a sudden 4-LOM is not best buds with Zuckus, and Zuckus refuses to really acknowledge that fact. He really likes his friend 4-LOM, even though he's a droid, and he refuses to kill him. So there's a whole crew that gets together and actually takes him out, or at least tries to, and 4-LOM basically runs away. So the moral of the story here, guys, is basically Zuckus has one of the biggest commitments to a droid we've ever seen, because he just doesn't stop. Even though this thing's trying to kill him, he's really trying to get along with his buddy. And by the end of this issue, what we know from Bounty Hunters issue number 15, that he's going to be we're going to have Zuckus, who's going to be working with the characters of Tanga and Losha and Tasu Leech. And well, on Nar Shaddaa, we have 4-LOM that's walking around there with a giant giant robotic body. So another thing that was interesting is you have like a Rocket the Raccoon type of alien. I think they were in the Clone Wars season 1, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. And they were this specific character was obsessed with cutting off everybody's arms for some reason, just likes to sever arms. And the character is continually saying, "Don't do that. It's not right. Don't do that." So I thought that was pretty funny. As far as my overall thoughts on this one shot, I think Zuckus, I didn't really like how Daniel Jose Older portrayed Zuckus, because there's a clear delineation between the Zuckus we see in, for instance, in the Bounty Hunter series versus the one we see, but Daniel Jose Older rates him a lot more upbeat, a lot more optimistic compared to the more deranged, the more just brutal, ruthless type of bounty hunter that I'm used to. So I wasn't really jiving a whole lot with that, but there was some good comedy, as you would expect from a Daniel Jose Older written story in this one. Quick update, I do believe we are not going to get any War of the Bounty Hunter comics next week, which I think would be a first ever since this whole thing started. So just be prepared. I probably won't have a video for week 15 until the following week. So be prepared for that, although there will be 2 High Republic stories. The Temple Peak one, which is going to be the one that's involving Ty York, as well as we're going to get the High Republic issue number, I think it's 8 next week. So we're still going to have comics, just not War of the Bounty Hunter ones, if that's what you guys are looking for. But for more on Star Wars, War of the Bounty Hunter, and everything else Star Wars, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel and do hit that notification bell icon, as that is the way that you won't miss any content from this. But I also have that Outer Rim Transmission podcast I do with my buddies Milton and Ben. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. We go live around 9 o'clock Eastern every Friday, and it's available to download wherever podcasts are available to download. So definitely get involved with that, and do tell me what you think of the podcast, because I'm very interested on your impressions. So that's going to do it for me. My name's Starrapter. Thank you guys so much for watching, and may the force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.